welcome back to the Bliss Bean. Normally when I sit down to film videos, I have a very detailed outline, a shot list, everything is prepared. For this video, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, probably just going to ramble and fangirl and throw in some concert footage on top of that. Basically, I was very lucky to be able to attend the first day of the BTS Love Yourself, Speak Yourself tour in Chicago. It was a very difficult sentence to put together. Basically the same way that I did with the last BTS concert, I wanted to create a video that's kind of a recap, answering questions that you might have if you are interested in going to a concert, but also just a memory for me to keep. Even though it has been 3 weeks since the concert, I by no means have recovered from it. My friends and I all took videos, but none of us had our phones on the whole time because we were obviously trying to experience the concert too. But I downloaded all of the footage that we collectively took and I tried to piece together as much of the concert as I could. But for this portion of the video, I'm going to talk about everything from buying tickets to how I almost couldn't attend the concert to the life-changing experience that Soundcheck was and the concert itself. I hung up my BTS poster here and I have my little Soundcheck pass here, so I hope you appreciate the BTS theme of this background. So let us begin. The first time I saw BTS in concert was back in October, and I never would have imagined that I would be able to see them so soon after. It was only 7 months between the two concerts. I don't remember exactly when this tour was announced, but I know I was walking from second hour to third hour when my mom texted me about it, and then I was the first one of my friends to know, so I had the pleasure of telling all of them and seeing how excited they got. Obviously, we were all like, we have to go, and we were also pretty determined to get good seats for this concert, because for the last one, we were sitting pretty far in the back, and it's still a great experience, obviously, but it's just not as entertaining when BTS are like little ants out in the distance and you're not really sure, is it really BTS? You would never know because you can barely see them. So we went into this with an immense amount of determination. Is that a word? The tickets came out at the beginning of March, but it was a school day, so that put a little damper on our plans. I did not have anything important happening that day, so I was able to stay home, and also my parents don't care, which was a huge asset. So I believe it was just me and one of my other friends that was able to stay home, and the rest of my friends just kind of cheered us on from school. They did contribute to the effort by coming over the night before and bringing over as many of their devices as they could, because basically the key to getting these tickets was having as many potential access points. The reason for that was because it was so up to chance. With other concerts where the demand isn't as high, you can get good tickets solely based on the fact that you got in early. But when the tickets are in as high demand as BTS concert tickets are, it is a bloodbath. So being there right at the beginning is just a given, but then the second thing that you have to do is get a lot of devices. And the reason for that is if everyone got in at the exact same time, the websites would crash. So what happens is when the timer strikes 0 and it's time for tickets to go out, basically everyone gets a spot in this queue, and it's totally random. It doesn't matter if you got there 10 minutes before tickets went out or 10 days. You get a random spot in line, and then in that order, people get access to the screen where you can actually buy and check out your tickets. So the more laptops, phones, computers, etc. that you have, the more chances you have that one of them is going to get a really good spot in line. So I don't remember exactly how many devices I had. I'm going to guess 8 to 10. I made separate Ticketmaster accounts for each one of them. I'm not sure if this is true, but I read somewhere that if you use the same account on each device, then Ticketmaster can kind of sense that and might kick you out. So I made separate accounts and I put in the payment information right away so that in case any of them did get tickets, I wouldn't have to be losing my mind trying to put in the credit card information, because you have a time limit before they just take away your tickets. So yeah, there I was, sitting surrounded by all of these devices spread out on the table. When the countdown finished, all of them entered the queue, the line, and I believe none of them were even far up enough to receive a number. It's just the number caps off at a certain point, it'll say something 999 plus, so you don't even know where you are. You're just watching this little slider bar, hoping for it to inch up a little bit. Honestly, it looked pretty bad. I thought for the second year in a row, you were not going to be able to get any tickets whatsoever for this concert, but I waited. I did not lose hope. And eventually eventually a few devices got in, but still nothing was for certain because it was very stressful at first. You would click on a ticket and put it in your cart, and then it tells you that someone else got that ticket, and you keep trying and trying and trying, and you can't get anything in your cart. Thankfully, though, I was able to snatch up 5 soundcheck tickets all together, and then it was over. I went to school. After that, I was very happy, on cloud 9, basically just ready to see BTS in 2 months. For some reason, it took me a long time to get excited about this concert until a few days before it. Then I started to get really, really excited, and it just kind of hit me that I was actually seeing BTS. I think especially once they had their tour stops at the Rose Bowl in California was kind of when it hit me that this was real, because I saw footage from other people that attended the concert. But as excited as I was, there was something that threatened to ruin all of my plans. I couldn't remember the last time I'd gotten sick, caught a cold or anything. So I trusted my immune system, and it betrayed me. I actually had AP exams that week, so that plus the concert, it was just the perfect time for me to get sick. I started feeling kind of weird in the middle of the week, and then Thursday evening, I was just out. My eyes started to get kind of sore, and then it got swollen and was mucusy and disgusting, and I don't even want to talk about it. It was bad. I've never had that happen to me, but it was a bad version of a cold, and I was feeling really crappy all of Friday. Genuinely worried that I was not going to be able to make it to the concert, but lo and behold, even though I had a very painful sore throat and a very sniffly nose, I was able to make it on Saturday. The day of the concert, we woke up pretty early in the morning, I think 5. We live in Wisconsin, so it was a couple of hours drive down to Chicago. Obviously, we listened to BTS albums the entire way there, because what else? We brought some food that we packed because we knew that it was going to be hella expensive at the concert, and so we were just trying to save as much as possible. We also, and I highly recommend this, found parking not at Soldier Field because I think it was $50, and I believe we were able to get parking for maybe $20. Now, obviously, you have to walk a few minutes to get to the stadium, but I think it's well worth it for the money that you're going to save. And we just used ParkWiz. I would actually recommend looking for the parking earlier than we did. I think we got it on the day of, but since so many people attend these concerts, a lot of the parking spots are going to get taken up. So I would recommend starting to search earlier for those spots and reserving them right away. But yeah, we started walking to Soldier Field, and it was super cool because literally everyone around you is wearing BTS shirts and hoodies and wearing their BT21 headbands and carrying around their army bombs. It's just this mad rush of army that's heading towards the arena. It's very exciting. This part of the day was probably the most stressful because about half of our group was able to arrive a few hours earlier than we did, and we had to meet up with them there for the soundcheck line. And we did not know where we were. The stadium was honestly so confusing. Line started moving. We first passed this checkpoint where they gave us bracelets that had a number on it. That was probably when my excitement really reached a peak level because it just didn't feel real up until then. And then I saw this number on my wrist telling me how close I was going to be to the stage. So that was pretty crazy. We got our bracelets, and then we had to walk for an eternity down this lawn thing where they set up ropes, so you can't just walk across to get your ticket. You have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Some people were trying to cut under the ropes, but the security guards were don't do that. But yeah, my group cut the ropes a couple of times. So then once you got to the end of that, there was a desk where you basically gave them your order confirmation. They gave you your little paper tickets, and they gave you your soundcheck pass. I think it's so cool that they did these. I mean, honestly, it's pretty unnecessary because you have that bracelet anyways, but it just feels like this cute little VIP pass that you have. So that was really nice. After that, it was just a waiting game. We did not get very lucky with the weather in Chicago, so it was pretty drizzly, very cold.
Send me all your videos and then I'll combine it.
I thought I was wearing a lot of layers, but I was still very cold. And at first I didn't feel it, probably just because I was so excited, but then it starts to hit you and it gets a little difficult. But yeah, we occupied our time by going around to little photo booth stations that they had set up around the arena. Each of those did have a line, but it usually wasn't very bad. We got some hot chocolate because we were so very, very deeply cold. We didn't get the QR codes for the photo booth, and we just didn't want to buy merch because it's so expensive. So there wasn't really much else for us to do. So eventually we got in line for sound check. This line, the order that you stood in did not mean anything. You were literally just standing there waiting to get inside the arena, where it was a few degrees warmer because it wasn't an indoor area. It was still like open outdoor area, except there was just kind of like a concrete roof over it, but still a tiny bit warmer than what it was out there. So once that line started moving, they took everyone through security, took away all our food, checked that we had bracelets and stuff, and then once you get into that like waiting, holding area, everyone was arranged by the color and the number of their wristbands. So I believe the color that you had dictated which side of the stage you were on, and then the number was how close to the stage you were able to get. So there were all these rows. It would be like, here's a line for numbers 1 through 100 and 101 through 200, and you get in your line and you just talk to people and figure out like what numbers they have and where you fit in amongst them. And we just sat there for a long time. Still very cold, but the excitement was building. We could actually hear them practicing out there. We couldn't see them, but we could hear the music playing, so everyone was singing along. That was pretty cute. The part that was not cute was that a lot of people needed to use the bathroom and they only had literally 2 porta potties. So I think that was poor planning on Soldier Field's part. It was also a little scary because we saw that it was drizzly and rainy, and we just didn't know if the rain was going to end before soundcheck started. I actually thought like maybe they would cancel the concert, but then I heard from someone else that they were planning on having it rain or shine. Finally, we waited, and then they led us into the arena. The interesting thing about how soundcheck works, I'm pretty sure it was how it worked in all of the stadiums, but definitely at least for Soldier Field, your number does not necessarily directly correspond to the view that you're going to have. So for example, bracelet number 40, definitely going to have a better view than bracelet number 800, but bracelet number 6, not necessarily going to have a better view than bracelet 70. So the way the chairs are set up next to the stage is the rows are like perpendicular to the stage. So God, I don't know how to visualize this. So if you're looking top down and this is like the stage that BTS walks down, then all of the rows extend outwards like this. And so when they bring people in for sound check, they're all standing in order of their wristbands. So since they file you in like that, you're never really guaranteed to like get a spot against the barricade. I don't know, I think even if you try to like count out the numbers and try to land right between multiples of 8 or however many seats there were there, it's not that predictable. Like, people are gonna shift around in line, maybe someone's gonna be missing from the line, maybe someone will be in the wrong spot in the line. Just like with the ticket buying, again, so much of this is just up to chance. But also, just as with the tickets, the BTS gods seem to be in my favor, and so out of the, I think there were 8 seats there, I got seat number 2, so I wasn't right on the barricade, but I was right behind the person that was on the barricade. We had to wait quite a while for them to fit everyone in, plus it was still drizzling, so that didn't make anything easier. So during that time that we waited, they passed around ponchos, which was so helpful. They handed them out for free, which I very much appreciated from Soldier Field, so maybe that makes up for the porta potty thing. I feel like they could have made bank on selling ponchos for like $2, because we would have bought them anyways, but they handed them out for free, so thank you. Everyone on Twitter was joking at like how everyone in LA was dressing up in cute outfits, and then there were the Chicago attendees who were standing there looking like plastic lumps. But if BTS has taught me anything, it's that I should love myself even when I look like a plastic lump. So while we were waiting, we also talked to some of the people that were around us. We met this group of people that were telling us about their experience at the LA concert, and they said they went to both days of that, and we were like, oh, are you going to day 2 of Chicago as well? And they said, yeah, we're also going to the New Jersey concert, and we also were in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago to see them perform at the BBMAs. And my mind was just blown, because that's literally like 3 weeks of following around BTS on their tour. This woman said she took off of work for 3 weeks to be able to do this. I feel like if I had heard this story earlier along in my experience as an ARMY, I would have thought it was kind of crazy. But I feel like by now, especially after experiencing soundcheck, I was like, okay, I get that. I understand that. I low-key would do that if I wasn't a teenager and had the money to do that. But maybe someday in the future. So then we were still waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. We weren't allowed to have our phones, and there were so many security guards watching us, but this one girl next to me, for some reason, was brave enough to go on Twitter, and she saw that Jimin posted a tweet where he was like, "It's really cold outside, don't catch a cold." Luckily, she didn't get caught for doing that, and everyone around us was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." So yeah, we were waiting, and then finally, it just happened very suddenly. There wasn't any announcement or anything. I think first we heard their voices, but I don't quite remember. They came out onto the stage. It just felt so casual, like, they weren't dressed up, they were wearing sweatshirts, no makeup, they still looked so good though. But to be that close to them was just, it's something that when I attended the October concert, I never could have imagined myself experiencing. Like, it was insane. It's easy to forget that they're real people because basically your entire knowledge of them exists on a screen. You only ever see photos and videos, and then you come to a concert and you see them like with your eyeballs in real life, and you just remember that they're real human beings that actually exist, and it's a very interesting experience. So they did 3 songs. I actually don't think I remember which 3 songs they did. They definitely did Mic Drop, and I'll tell you later why I remember that. But oh my god, what were the other songs? Okay, so Twitter came to the rescue as usual. The other songs that they performed were Anpanman and Fake Love. It all went by really fast, but also really slow. Like, I remember thinking either during the first song or after the first song was over, just feeling like there was still so much of soundcheck left. I was like, wow, this is such a long experience. But I think it's the exact same with anything exciting that ever happens. It's like, when you're in the moment, time seems to move really slowly, but then as soon as it's over, it's just, you look back and it feels like it went by in a flash. So other people around me were dancing and they had their hands up. And honestly, me, I was kind of just standing there. Like, I must have looked a little shocked. I think I was just kind of staring up at them and smiling and like trying to take it all in. I'm not really a person who cries tears of joy, but I was definitely pretty overwhelmed with emotion, so if I did, I would have been sobbing. So back to the reason I remember Mic Drop. My bias in BTS is Jungkook, but Jimin's like so close up to number 1. It's like, I almost just want to say they're both equally my number 1, but there's just something about Jimin. He was wearing brown overalls and I think like a black hoodie and a beanie hat. Obviously we weren't allowed to take pictures or videos, but luckily some sneaky people posted pictures on Twitter, so I'm just glad that I have a record of that iconic outfit. So I happened to not only be the second person behind the barricade, but also be right next to one of the sets of stairs that are along the stage. So like at the beginning of soundcheck, none of them went on the stairs, so I thought maybe they won't do that, maybe that's just getting too close. But then for Mic Drop, Jimin came over to those stairs. I swear to God, he was like probably 5 feet away from me at that point. He came over right when the dance break of Mic Drop started, you know, the body roll part where they go like that. To be able to say that I stood 5 feet away from Jimin as he body rolled is something that I think will define the rest of my life. And then Jungkook kind of felt like he was avoiding our section of the audience for a little while. Like, they would all kind of make circles around the stage, but it felt like he would just skip over our section every time he made a circle. But then finally, don't even remember what song it was, I was paying more attention to them than what they were singing, but he ran over and kind of jumped onto the stairs, and it almost looked like he was about to fall. I was like, oh my god, if Jungkook falls on top of me. He kind of had to steady himself and catch himself, and then he laughed his little bunny laugh of his, and it was so cute. And this girl, like 2 people away from me, he fist bumped her and shook her hand. So yeah, then soundcheck was over, they left, and it was so sad to see them go because then all of a sudden it felt like the experience had been way too short. My friends and I kind of reconvened and we just processed our emotions. I think one of my friends was crying and then the rest of us were just kind of shocked and frozen. We took a couple of pictures just to like remember how close to the stage we were. And after we did the whole waiting in line for soundcheck thing where I mentioned it was kind of open and still kind of half outdoors, I was just under the impression that there were no indoor heated areas in Soldier Field. Honestly, that makes no sense now that I think about it, but we found this entrance into like a heated lounge area and it was so nice to finally be warm and to be able to use an actual bathroom. So we sat there for a little bit, rested up. Then we got dinner and we were forced to buy the super expensive arena food. So we ate and then we went back out into the cold. We found our seats, we sat down. It was still very light outside then, and they were just playing music videos on the big screens. Everyone was singing along. It was really cute. At one point, everyone started turning around to the back of the stadium, and we were so confused because we were at the very front, so we just could not see what it was at all. We saw a couple of people like standing and looking out the windows that are at the very top where they have, I think, like the fancy suites and stuff. And at first we were like, oh my god, it's BTS. But then we realized it didn't make sense. Like, why would they be on the other side of the stadium when they need to prepare for their first song? So then we thought, oh, maybe we're just waving to ARMY, who are at the back of the stadium, just like friendly waving. I don't know. We were so confused. Everyone around us was trying to figure it out. So then someone said it was TXT, but we were like, that's not the correct number of people for it to be TXT. But it turns out it actually was them, because afterwards they posted a picture on Twitter, and I knew someone who also attended the same concert but sat in the back, and so they had a better view of that window, and they said, yes, it was TXT. So that was an interesting little start. But when it was time for the concert to start, they always start by playing like an intro VCR, and it was so good. Like, the rest of the VCRs that they played throughout the concert were the same as the ones for the Love Yourself tour, but for the intro like sequence thing, they made a new video, and all of their videos are just so well produced. It makes me so happy, not only as a BTS fan, but as a video nerd. So they were playing that video, they kind of started playing the instrumentals of Dionysus with like very dramatic choir voices. It was super intense. They started inflating those like metallic jaguars that you've probably already seen on Twitter if you didn't attend the concert yourself. For the next concert, I'm just gonna start putting messages out into the universe now that I need to be at that next concert. But for the next concert, I'm definitely gonna try to get tickets that are next to the secondary stage. You know how they have like a main stage and then the little walkway and then a smaller secondary stage? I think they spend more time on that stage and you just get much better views. But I really cannot complain about the seats that I had, because we still had very good views of them, especially when they were on the walkway, especially when they were walking across the walkway or just dancing and singing on it. Also, the TV screens are fantastic. They get a really great view of them, so if you can't see them like with your eyes, if they're too far away or if they're behind you, you can always watch those screens and have a really nice view. Overall, the concert was really beautiful. It was pretty similar to the one in October, but just like everything was stepped up a notch. I mean, obviously there was Jungkook flying in Euphoria, V starting out on that like weird mattress thing, Jimin in that bubble that he popped for Serendipity. Everything was just bigger and better, and the fireworks at the end were so beautiful. Another thing that I wasn't really expecting was I thought that I would prefer indoor concerts over outdoor. Yes, it was cold outside, but I actually really liked being in an outdoor environment for a concert. One was because as the sun was setting, it was so pretty, but it's also just really cool to be out in fresh air and have the breeze blowing as they're performing. So yeah, those are all my thoughts on the concert. I probably would talk longer if I wasn't running out of battery, but I probably also shouldn't talk longer because I would just ramble more. But yeah, I'm again so thankful that I got to go to this concert. It was amazing. I'm so lucky. And yeah, thank you to my mom for driving, to my friends for going with me and being as crazy as I am. Thank you to BTS for existing, and thank you to you for watching. Enjoy these concert clips that I've put together, and I will see you next week. Bye!